welcome viewers to another exciting episode of Generation C, where we bring you guys 3 thrilling segments of all things school news, Varsity Chat Room, and of course going through our weekly zone, reminding you guys why it's the best buy on every single Tuesday. But hold on guys, before we get into the exciting agenda that we have today, my name is Shagwandjwa and I'm going to be your host today, and of course I am wearing white. I'm wearing a white shirt, I'm sure you've noticed, and that's just because today is World Milk Day. So before we get any further into this, please stay tuned for this short video on World Milk Day. So this is the exciting part of Generation C, okay? This is where we get to go through our weekly zone publication. Please do remember that the zone is out every single Tuesday in the Republican, the Namibian Sun, as well as the Algemeine Zeitung. So before we get into the front page, you guys can see that we have the photo of the week right here. Now, let's dive right into our publication. So on the first page, we have Mr. Mark Jackson. That is a young, vibrant entrepreneur, okay? He is a self-taught man that makes established pallets, okay? Now, to know more about that, we're going to be having an interview with the man of this publication on the front page, so stay tuned for that. Welcome back, guys. So we are here for our interview. We have a remix call of the person on the front of our The Zone publication. So could you kindly introduce yourself and tell us a bit more about what you do?
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Mark Jackson, and I am an entrepreneur slash real estate agent as well. And I was born and raised in Walfish Bay in Kuisep, yes, at the coast. And I finished my primary school, Arable Primary, in 2010, and my high school at the Dana Secondary School in 2015. And what I do is, like I said, I'm an entrepreneur, so I have a business called Made Pallets, where I make furniture out of pallets. Yeah.
Wow. So he gave us a little bit of insight about what his business is all about, which I'm sure everyone's excited to know a lot more about. So can you tell us how you started, getting into the business world, entrepreneurship? Can you tell us more about that?
Well, yeah. So I would say that in 2013, when I was in grade 10, that's where it actually started for me as an entrepreneur, which I didn't know of. And normally during the grade 10 holidays, you'd know that kids would always go and look for work during the holidays. And for me, it was a bit different. It's actually something that I created myself, like job opportunities. So I would go around with a bucket of water and a cloth, and I would go around the neighborhood and wash windows, and actually I'd accumulate money in that way. And after high school, I started with Made Pallets. It was actually an idea that I saw on Instagram, and I was like, okay, this is really cool, but I didn't actually engage with it. And then after a few weeks, I went to one of, it was actually a building here in town, in Walfish Bay, that I went to, and I saw that they have a coffee table that's made out of pallets. I was like, oh, it's the same idea that I saw. And then I went back home, I did more research on it, and that was in 2017 that I started with, like late 2017 that I started with. And my first prototype was actually a white coffee table um, that I made for a friend's mom, just as a birthday gift to see how it's going to advertise and how many people are actually going to like it. And there were actually quite a few people that did. And then in 2018, taking it more seriously, going to start to expos, and in 2019, that's where it really kicked off.
Wow, very inspiring indeed. So now we know that you make pellets. We know that there are different ways that you can
Yeah.
use pellets to make different things. So can you just give insight? Like, do you make tables, chairs? What are the materials that you make?
Well, I mostly focus on coffee tables. I'd say indoor furniture, which is coffee tables, um, living room benches, and sometimes I'd make a kitchen zinc cupboard and beds, bar stools, etc. Yeah.
Wow, that is amazing. So how do you advertise your brand?
Well, I mostly use Facebook because that's where my target market is, and there was a time when I used Instagram, but not a lot of people um, are interested in that. They see the photos, but it's not.
Okay, we seem to be having some technical difficulties. Can you just repeat that, please?
Hello. Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, so that's where I one on Twitter as well. But that time there wasn't really a market on Twitter for pallet furniture, but I believe there is one now. So if you want to see our page, you can go on Instagram at made pallets, and on Facebook it's also the same. It's just made space pallets.
Wow, that's amazing. So can you,
Yeah.
for the one young person that wants to start their own business, that wants to venture in the business world, being an entrepreneur, what's one piece of advice that has really helped you and shaped you into doing the best that you can in your industry?
Um, I would say that a lot of people would say that um, it's not the right thing, but I'd say keep your focus on Christ. For me, it was always um, before I started, it was always about the money, and there was no purpose to it. And afterwards, I started making it, or after I got saved, um, and when it became about Christ, I was like, okay, this is something that keeps me on my toes. Okay, so it's to advance God's kingdom. And second thing is, I started off with a $200, a $300 actually, on my 21st birthday. Um, a lot of kids, they get money on their 21st birthday, and they probably get like $100,000 or $50,000 or whatsoever. But on my birthday, I got like a $300, and the first thing that I bought was a sanding machine to smoothen out wood, and that's where I started. You don't need um, a lot of money to start a business. All you need is just a brain. Use your brain. Use your brain, your God-given brain, and yeah, you don't need a lot of money. And also, I'd say that find something that don't make it about the money. Find something that keeps you on your toes. Find your why. I'd say find your
Mm,
why as a young entrepreneur. Find your why. Why are you doing it? Are you doing it for community upliftment, or are you doing it just for your own personal gain?
mm.
Um, yeah, like for me, one of my whys as well is oftentimes you'd see people go to furniture shops and they'd buy stuff, and then they'd
Okay, that was our cover of the zone. Okay, he was giving us his story about how he became an entrepreneur, the business world, and all of that. But unfortunately, that is it for Generation C. But stay tuned to so much more. Welcome, viewers. As you guys can see, we are here at our school news segment, okay, where we bring you news from all of the schools in all of our different regions. And we have a lot of exciting content to share with you guys today. And the first on our agenda is the Ministry of Mines and Energy, okay, handed over 5 cars to the mechanical learners of Windhoek Technical School. I know, it's a huge deal. So stay tuned for this video showing you guys how everything happened. Wow, that was amazing. But no, the news is not over, okay? Because the very same school, Windhoek Technical School, their netball team actually won all of their games in the past trimester, guys. That is a huge deal. It just shows us how interested the students are in sports and how they're really hungry for success. So stay tuned for this video. So that was it for our school news, guys, but we're getting right into our program, okay? Our segments are not done yet. Please do stay tuned for Varsity Chat Room. So we are here in Varsity Chat Room, okay, your absolute favorite varsity news show. And we have a special guest in the house, okay? Can you kindly introduce yourself to our viewers and tell us a bit about what you do?
My name is Michael Shagwandjwa, Mr. YDM.
Okay.
I'm 23 years of age. I'm a 4th year student at UNAM, studying education, and I have a small business. Started my business 2 years ago. Still running a business. I do printings, graphics, and actually a self-taught graphic designer. And I do printings. I have a brand that is actually kind of doing well. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so before we get into the business side of your life, let's start at the beginning. Why did you decide to go into education, and how was your overall university experience?
With my education background, actually, going into being an education student wasn't really by choice. It's just something that I felt like it's not gonna scramble my life too much. So I had to apply for education. Yeah.
So do you feel like you gained a passion while you were studying? Like, is it something that was for you?
Not really. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't like what I'm doing actually, but I'm doing it. Just because I need to obtain a degree, but then I had to do something else that is in my interest.
Oh wow! So you chose to find like a loophole, something that you can find is your passion. Exactly. So can you tell us more about your business savvy side? Like, how was the brainstorming process? How did you decide, okay, this is a business I want to do, and what were the steps that you took to get to where you are now?
Okay, firstly I started it off as a clothing brand.
Oh.
YDM. I'm wearing the t-shirt under this.
Wow. Okay.
So I started it off as YDM. YDM stands for Yasha Destructive Mode. It's actually I'm trying to uplift the Yasha tribe, the Ngajara tribe, just inclusively through everyone and trying to bring people together. And then I had a few a few criticisms at the beginning, and I was slightly at the verge of giving up, of dropping the whole brand and stuff. But then I had a lot of ideas in my head, and I felt like if I have to implement all these ideas. It's just gonna work out for me. So and I did that. Yeah.
And this is where you are now. So now I'm sure a lot of people want to know, like when you're in varsity, you have so much work, but there are ways, like you said, to find loopholes and find what you're doing as a passion. But how do you personally juggle both school and work?
I'm also not gonna lie, it's a little difficult. It's challenging. With especially at this point where we have we don't really do face-to-face classes anymore. So I deal with my business during the day, and then take time off on education on probably nighttime and when I have leisure time and stuff like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I balance it, and it's quite difficult.
Oh, yeah, I bet it really is. So now like you mentioned your leisure time. So we know that you're a businessman. We know that you're in the education system. But what do you like to do in your free time?
I'm a gamer. I like playing games.
Cool.
Yeah. So in my free time, I play games. I hang out with my friends. I don't really do much. I'm not an outgoing person as well. So I like indoor stuff. I call my friends over. We do whatever you gotta do and just chill.
Yeah, cool. So now what would you like to say to that one university student that wants to start a business so bad, but as you mentioned, people are just, talking down on their ideas and not having faith in them? What's one thing you'd like to say?
What I can say is that people will always have something to say about whatever you want to do with your life. So you shouldn't depend on what people say. Okay, you should imply what you have in mind, and then just get it done by yourself. You get it. You don't have to look at other people's opinions, and because I did that at the beginning, and I was slightly close to giving up. Yeah, but I felt like it's people's opinion. I have my own opinion, so let me do what I gotta do.
Wow, so you guys heard it right here. Do what you gotta do. Thank you so much for joining us. Please do make sure to follow him on all of his socials. Where can people find you and your brand?
You can find me on Instagram, YDM underscore clothing underscore brand. Yeah, something like that. You can get it. If you search for YDM, you'll
find it.
Get it. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for having you. Thank you so much for coming in studio.
Thank you very much for having me as well.
And all right, everyone, we have to love and leave you. That is all from us here at Generation C. So from me, Puko, it's adios.
From me, Michael, Mr. YDM, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.